All right. What's up? Can you hear me all right? Is the audio can you see me all right? Let me move this chair. All right. Oh, there we go. That's a lot lighter now. Welcome to the video. I made it. I've got my microphone. Let me know if it's working down below in the chat. All right. Welcome to the video. I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. This is the first time I'm in this location. This is my new office area. There's still a lot to do here. We're going to make the wall black behind us. um, get the lighting a little bit better, but right now this is where I'm at. This is the third floor of our new place here. So we've got obviously some windows and stuff, but every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, I go live with a deep dive topic into something that I think would be helpful for my clients to hear. So I always give them access to the link to join first before I share it publicly. And if it's something that I think I'd like my clients to know and learn about and get a better understanding of, then it's probably going to be helpful for everybody else who's not a client of mine, right? So let's dive into it. Today's topic is going over a bunch of muscle building truths that I know at 32 now that I wish I knew at 22. If I knew these things 10 years ago, man, I would be much further along with how much muscle I'm carrying around and how quickly I got there, and um body composition wise, it would make such a big difference. So that's what we're going over here in the video. If you're joining the video live, please let me know down in the comments. And yeah, all right. All right, here we go. So the first thing that I wish I knew when I first started working out and wanting to build muscle is that building muscle takes an insane amount of patience. You don't do a muscle building phase in a month or in 2 months. There's no 8-week muscle building challenge where you're going to gain any significant amount of muscle. Usually, I recommend at least 6 months for a muscle building phase because of how long it takes to build muscle. And why this is so important is because your expectations are everything. If you're expecting to gain 10 pounds of muscle in 2 months and you gain 2 pounds or 3 pounds, you're going to be frustrated and you may do something drastic. You may hop to a new program when in fact it was working in the first place. You're more likely to quit and get discouraged. So expectations, setting proper expectations of what results are realistic to actually see is everything when it comes to long-term success. And the truth is, when it comes to building muscle, you can gain maybe a pound or two of muscle per month, depending on your experience. If you're a total newbie, for the first time ever on a proper strength training program and tracking your macros, you could probably gain 2 pounds of muscle per month for a year, and then it essentially dwindles down to half that. Every year, there's like diminishing returns of like 50%. So after the first year, if you're doing everything right, you could gain like 24, 25 pounds of muscle. Again, if you're doing everything right and you're a total newbie. Year 2, it's about half that. You can gain maybe a pound of muscle a month. After year 3, it's half that, maybe 6 pounds of muscle a year, give or take, right? Now, again, if you're doing everything right, maybe you could gain a pound of muscle a month. If you're intermediate or advanced, that's what I tend to aim for, is to try to gain a pound of muscle a month, even as a very advanced, been doing it for 15 years. If I'm coming out of a fat loss phase or a phase where I'm eating very restrictively, my thought is it's not totally unrealistic to think maybe I could gain a pound of muscle a month for uh, half of a year. I don't think I could gain 12 pounds of muscle in a full year. Certainly couldn't. But this is the first thing I wish I knew, right? The realistic expectations with how long it takes to build muscle and the patience it requires, and how you really have to have a long-term game plan and vision. You can't really wing it and stumble upon gaining a ton of muscle. You really do have to know what you're doing for an extended period of time. And it has to be a phase, like I said, between 6 and 12 months is usually what my clients are doing in regards to a proper muscle building phase. Okay. So I'm going to put this in the chat, but if you're watching the video, let me know in the comments. Okay. So that's the first thing. Number two is that eating more food is crucial for building muscle, specifically more protein and carbs. Fats aren't as important for building muscle. I'm not saying you should eat zero carbs. I'm sorry, zero fats. Fats are essential for having healthy and regulated hormones. So you don't want to go below like 40 or 50 grams of fat if you're an adult male. But protein and carbs directly impact muscle building and performance in the gym. And most people aren't going to be able to eat a very restrictive diet and expect to gain muscle. Like there's a lot of people out there who are trying, like adult males who are trying to eat 1,300 calories a day and thinking they're gonna gain any muscle while they're losing body fat. Like, you're psychotic. If you have any thought that you're gonna gain muscle as an adult male eating 1,300 calories a day, you're losing muscle. You're going to lose muscle eating that amount consistently. So the amount of food you eat is very, very important. It's the resources that your body uses for everything, for energy, for your workouts, for recovery. If there's barely any resources, you're gonna have lower quality workouts, you're not gonna be as likely to get stronger, and you're not gonna have as many of those resources to use towards recovery. Even if you have a decent workout in the gym, you're not gonna have as many resources to rebuild that muscle, right? So, that is the second one, which is eating in a surplus is ideal for building muscle. Now, you there's certain populations that can gain some muscle in a deficit or maintenance. Usually it's newbies, people who are newer, who are, like I said, in their first 1 to 2 years of following a proper strength training program, or tracking their food or both. Those people, and I've had many clients do this because a lot of clients coming in are somewhat beginners, right? They usually have experience with exercise or with training to some degree, but many of them have not followed a proper strength training program before, even if they've worked with a personal trainer. I've had a ton of clients who have worked with personal trainers in the past or are working with a personal trainer now, but there's still no program. They just show up to the session and the trainer makes up on the spot what they're doing. It's like it's pretty insane, like, even at, like, the highest level gyms, like, at the gym I worked at in college, Equinox, which is the most expensive gym, and people are paying $150 per session to train with someone who's a complete beginner, just has never trained a client before, and they're making up workouts on the spot without any structured program in place, right? There's a difference between going into a gym and having a trainer walk you through exercises, and they're good selection of exercises, and he's helping you with proper form and making sure you're doing it properly. That's all good. But to not have a structured program that you can progressively train and get better and stronger, that there's no long term plan involved. That's a problem, especially for when it comes to building muscle. It's not as much an issue when it comes to losing body fat because that is all done on the nutrition side, right? That is all in the kitchen with the food. When it comes to building muscle, that's going to be very much the training. All right, Morgan's on and she said, "Sound good." All right, thanks, Morgan. Perfect. If anyone else jumps on the video, leave a comment down below. Let me know you're watching. Like I said, I go live every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and love to connect with you guys. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments as well, because I'd much rather answer your questions here live while I'm here. All right. So number three, what I wish I knew is that tracking your macros diligently will give you the best chance of gaining mostly muscle while limiting fat gain. Okay. So tracking your macros diligently will give you the best chance at gaining mostly muscle while limiting fat gain. Pretty much everyone on earth who's tried to gain muscle or gain weight has ended up doing the first time what they call a dirty bulk, which is you end up gaining way more fat than muscle. Okay, so we've most people who have done this type of thing have ended up in this situation before. I've had, and I'm not going to name names, but I've had clients before who had done incredibly well in a fat loss phase, wanted to do a muscle building phase on their own. So they stopped coaching, go do that on their own, which is really when you need a coach even more because you could end up in a dirty bulk big time and then having to do another even bigger fat loss phase. And I've had people come back after they did a dirty bulk where they gained like 12 to 13 pounds of body fat in just a few months and lost muscle. Isn't that crazy? Like, people who think people who are good, right? Who are going to try to build muscle end up losing muscle and gaining 12 or 13 pounds of body fat. And then I had those same people end up gaining muscle, 3 or 4 pounds of muscle in a fat loss phase and losing 20 pounds. So the same person's capable of many things, right? But when it comes to body composition, when it comes to a phase of gaining muscle while keeping fat gain as low as you can, that's very much going to come down to the nutrition, not the training. The training is very important in its own right with the program you have. If you're training with the right intensity, are you really trying to get stronger? Are you getting stronger or not? Are you pushing yourself close to failure? All that matters very, very much for building muscle. But on the nutrition side and eating a very calculated amount of proteins to carbs to fats, that's where you really optimize your body composition and you can really control to the best of our ability that we don't gain much fat and that the weight that we do gain is more muscle. Okay. So yeah, so you still have to track your macros diligently in a muscle building phase. The good news is that you're eating more food, so it doesn't feel like the same game. A fat loss phase, you're eating restrictively. You're in a deficit. You have less food to work with. Maybe you're an adult male. Maybe you're eating 1,800 calories or 2,000 calories or 2,200 calories or whatever the number is. For any adult male, those are restrictive numbers. You have to be careful with what you're eating, right? You can't eat too much of this or too much of that. You can have a dessert once a week or so, but it's not easy to squeeze it in when you do type of thing, right? A muscle building phase, you're still tracking very diligently as best you can, but you have way more flexibility. You can eat anything you want to eat. You can go out to eat every day if you want. You can have dessert every day if you want. Obviously, you shouldn't do all these things, but you technically could because you're working with way more calories. You're working with 2,700 calories, 2,800, 2,900 calories. I'm eating 3,000 calories right now. I'm in a phase right now, a muscle building phase where this is the goal to build about a pound of muscle a month for 6 months and limit fat gain. So I'm trying to keep a pretty good body composition. I don't look fat or anything, right? I look fairly lean. I'm trying to get a little bit bigger and more muscular, but I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, right? So, that is number 3. Tracking macros diligently is key for minimizing fat gain while gaining muscle. Let me know if that makes sense. Leave a comment down below in the chat. Let me know if that part makes sense and if I explained that decently well or not. Um, Number 4 is that logging your workouts, meaning the exercises you're doing, the amount of weight you're using, and the amount of reps you were able to get for each set. So logging your workouts will increase the chance that you'll get stronger. All right. 4, logging workouts will increase the chance you get stronger. Okay. And this is like night and day. If you're not logging your workouts, you're leaving results on the table. I can confidently say that. If you're not logging your workouts in a workout app, like for my clients, we use a training app where I design their workouts in there, and it shows them exactly what workouts to do. When they go to the gym, they open it up, it tells them what order to go in, and it has a spot to enter in the weight they used for that exercise and the amount of reps they were able to get, and it collects their data so they know, what they did last time. And when you know what you did last time, it makes it more aware in your head that you're going to say, "You know what? Let me try to do one more rep than I did last time." If you don't see a visual of what weight you used last time and how many reps you got, you're less likely to say, "Let me strive for one more than that." It's a very subconscious thing, but it's like night and day. It makes a massive difference in your likelihood of getting stronger, okay? And the number 5 thing is that if you're getting stronger in your workouts, it's gonna increase the chance that you build muscle, okay? So we wanna log our workouts because it makes it more likely that we get stronger, and if the goal is building muscle, we wanna get stronger because it makes it more likely that we're gonna build muscle. Very few people are not getting stronger, but also building muscle. You see what I mean? I'm gonna put that in the chat. Very few people are not getting stronger, but also building muscle. And getting stronger could be a number of things. It doesn't mean you have to increase weight every week. That's impossible, right? We'd all be benching 1,000 pounds after 2 years of training. But can you do an extra rep than you did last time with the same weight? Can you and this isn't gonna happen in every exercise. I'm talking about if you go into the gym, maybe you have 5 exercises for that workout or 6 total exercises. In one of those exercises, can you do an extra rep or 2? That's getting stronger. That's technically doing more than you did last time. In one of those exercises for the workout, can you increase by 5 or 10 pounds? All right? There'll be times where you go in and you can increase the weight by 20 pounds than you did last time. That's a big jump, right? There'll be times where you can increase the weight by 5 pounds in one of those exercises. There'll be times where you go in and you can increase the weight by 5 pounds in all 5 of those exercises. So it's always going to vary. There'll be times where you go in and you feel weaker. You literally can't increase the weight or reps in any exercise because you slept like shit that day or that night, or you didn't have anything to eat, and maybe you tried to eat, and you literally haven't eaten anything today. It was a chaotic day. Yeah, you're not gonna get stronger that day, right? There's so many factors that play into the quality of your workouts. Your nutrition that day, your pre and post-workout nutrition, your energy levels, your sleep from the previous night, your, stress levels. Is it a really stressful day at work? That impacts workouts greatly, your stress levels. your, um like, are you working while you're working out? Are you answering emails on your phone and stuff like that? That's going to impact it as well, right? There's tons of things that impact the quality of your workout, all right? But that's number 5 is getting stronger in your workouts is gonna increase the chance of building muscle. Number 6 is that there's no specific rep range you need to be in order to build muscle, all right? This is a big one. You could be doing 3 to 5 reps per set and build muscle. You could be doing 6 to 10 reps per set and build muscle. You could be doing 15 to 20 reps and build muscle. You could be doing 20 to 30 reps and build muscle. This is one of the like, this is the benefit of newer science coming out every year, because, like, 20 years ago, people used to say that you needed to do heavy weight in a low rep range. You needed to max out for 1 or 2 or 3 reps to build muscle. Now we know you can build muscle, and we have tons of examples of people who have built muscle working in all various rep ranges. You can build muscle doing 20 reps per set. You can build muscle doing 4 reps per set. What's more important is the intensity of that set. Are you training properly? Are you training close to failure? So regardless of if you're doing 3 reps or 20 reps, it needs to be very close to failure. So it comes down to the weight you're selecting. If you're selecting a weight that makes getting those 3 reps really, really hard, and maybe you could do an extra rep, you could do 4 or 5 reps if you needed to. That's close to failure. That's leaving only 1 or 2 reps in the tank or reps in reserve, as they call it. That's what you want. You wanna finish the set where the last few reps are so hard, so difficult that it's really out of your comfort zone. And a good way to gauge this is for the last 2 or 3 reps or 4 reps of every set, realistically, the reps should slow down significantly. There should be a sign of struggle. So if the normal tempo for any exercise you do, I'll do a shoulder press here. If the normal tempo is like this, right? By the last few reps, it should look like this, right? It's slowing down as I'm going up, right? Like there should be a sign of struggle that you can't like your 10th rep shouldn't be the same exact visual and pace and tempo as your first. That's a sign that you're not even close to failure. You're not even close. So the important part here is not how many reps you're doing, but it's that you're going until you are clearly struggling with the weight and it's getting very difficult, but you're still able to maintain proper form. I can maintain proper form doing an overhead press where I'm barely getting the weight up, right? I'm struggling like this, like I'm going centimeter at a time. I'm still using proper form. I'm not like this, right? This is bad, right? Don't yeah, this is way past failure. But if I'm doing it properly, even if it's going little by little, I'm still maintaining proper form. That's what we want, right? Let me know if that makes sense. So number 5 is it number 5? Number 6, I think it's 6. 6. There's no specific rep range required to build muscle. You can build muscle in any rep range. What's more important is the level of difficulty of each and every set. It has to be very difficult. Let me know if that makes sense. All right. Number 7 is what I just said. The more important factor than the number of reps you're doing is that each set comes close to failure. All right. and between 1 and 3 reps in reserve, meaning if you're going for 10 reps, realistically, the 11th rep should be absolute failure, or the 12th rep or the 13th rep should be absolute failure, meaning literally you cannot finish that final rep. Like, you're pressing and you literally cannot get it up and you have to stop. So that's what failure means, alright? Number 8 is that strength training 3 to 5 times a week on a structured program where you hit each muscle group twice in the week seems to be the most ideal setup for building muscle in regards to your routine, alright? Hitting each muscle group twice per week generally is seen right now in 2025 as the most ideal setup and frequency to build muscle. Now, don't get it twisted, you can build muscle doing each muscle group once a week or 3 times a week. There's people who've done all of those. But 2, for the average person who's working out 3 times a week or 4 or 5 times a week, the frequency of hitting chest twice in the week, shoulders twice in the week, legs twice in the week, back twice in the week, arms twice in the week is generally known as the most ideal currently, okay? Okay. And that's generally what I do for my clients. I set them up with different phases of training from one phase to the next. Most phases, they'll hit each muscle group twice in the week. In some phases, there's a certain muscle group, maybe they're only hitting once, or maybe they're hitting a third time, right? I vary it based on each individual, what kind of routines they've seen and done already. But that's generally the setup I use with clients. All right. Number 9 is that you don't need to do 5 or 6 exercises per muscle group, each time you work out, alright? This is a mistake I made, and genuinely, I wish I knew this when I was 22. I used to do 6, 7 exercises for chest on one day. Absolute overkill. Like, quite honestly, an insane waste of time. I remember thinking to myself, I remember being in my college gym and saying out loud to the person I was working out with, "I gotta go easy on this one." I think we were doing a fly machine. I said, "I gotta go easy on this one because 'cause we've got the incline presses later in the workout." If you don't know, that's ridiculous, right? Like, just to go, like, half-ass at an exercise for 3 or 4 sets because you're saving energy for the same exact muscle group, down the line. What's better and what's more ideal and what yields better results and what saves more time is to do 1 to 3 exercises per muscle group per day or per workout, and just go hard at them, right? Like, now research is showing that you can do 1 really hard set of each muscle group in a workout, and if you're going until failure, it's still effective. So, I was doing 7 exercises for chest, 3 or 4 sets each. So, I was doing 27 sets, 30 sets of chest on one day when I could have done 3 and gotten very similar results if I had just trained better and trained smarter. And there's proof of this now for me personally, but with tons of other people too. But I have personal proof that now I go in and I do between 1 and 3 exercises per muscle group in a given workout. So on a push day, I'm doing chest, but instead of doing 7 exercises like I was 10 years ago, I'm doing 2 or 3 exercises, usually a flat press or some sort of flat, fly, an incline movement to hit the top part of the chest, and a decline movement to hit the bottom part. So I'm hitting it from all 3 angles. I'm only doing 3 exercises for chest, but I'm I'm have a better body composition now than I did back then, and it's 10 years later. So there it is. So, yeah, or at least I've got the just as good body composition now as I did back then, and I'm way, way less, and I'm getting injured way, way less. That's the other thing about hammering one muscle group for an hour, just doing that muscle group, you're gonna get injured way more. You're gonna overtrain certain areas, you're gonna develop muscle imbalances, you're gonna get, uh, way more injuries if you're overdoing it on each muscle group, alright? Okay. Number 10 is that proper technique is more important than ego lifting, right? Ego lifting is basically when you are, uh, breaking form, not using proper form when training in order to try to lift as much as you can. So if you're lifting too much and breaking form, what happens is not only are you more likely to get injured, but you are usually recruiting secondary muscle groups to help move the weight. So you're not even properly targeting the muscles that you're hoping to train in the first place, okay? So we'll use, chest press as an example. If you're ego lifting on a chest press, and you're not doing it properly and you're breaking form, some common ways people do that are they incorporate way too much shoulders, right? Like, maybe they're up here more rather than down here, more of a neutral grip or a 45-degree angle. Out here, and they're incorporating a lot of delts. Or if they're like this, they're incorporating a lot of triceps, right? The more narrow you go, the more triceps it is. So if you're not using the proper technique, you're way more likely to be recruiting other muscle groups that you didn't intend on even trying to train in that exercise. So in many cases, it's better to just use lighter weight or use weight that is more reasonably appropriate. You can practice proper form and actually hit the chest properly and fatigue the chest properly and strengthen it. All right. Now, number 11 is that creatine can be somewhat helpful for getting stronger and building muscle. Now, it's a long-term supplement, so, don't plan on taking it for a month or 2. I recently had someone ask me if taking creatine would help them, like, get ripped or something for a vacation they're going on in a month. No, it literally will make no difference for you in a month because, first of all, it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get saturated in your system anyway, so you don't even get the benefits until after 2 or 3 weeks of taking it, and the benefits many times aren't even noticeable unless you know what to look out for. People are expecting some crazy, insane, obvious results from taking creatine. No, it's it's very marginal. You may be able to get an extra couple reps, which to me is noticeable because I know that each rep that I can get that's additional or every 5 pounds more I can do is a significant win. But the average person doesn't think that. The average person doesn't get an extra 2 reps than they got last time and think, "Wow, that was amazing. That was great." Um, but that's what you can expect from taking creatine. You get an extra few reps in your workouts, you get an extra 5 or 10 pounds that you might normally lift. Creatine essentially retains, water into your muscle cells, so your muscles may actually look a little bit more full and may look actually a little bit bigger because there's some more water being drawn into the muscle cells. and it helps with training, it helps with it's a performance-based supplement. It helps with doing a little bit better in the gym. So, over time, that has a cumulative effect, right? After a year, you may not notice it on a day by day or week by week basis, but it will have made a difference for you. So, it's the type of supplement you take long term, uh, without stopping it, without, seeing that it's gonna be a short-term thing. Let me know if you have any questions on creatine down below. You can take 5 grams a day, just normal creatine monohydrate. Some of these new creatine gummy, companies are insane scams. Insane scams. Somebody recently had a bunch of the most popular ones tested because he was skeptical. They taste so good. He was skeptical that there was any creatine in them. If you're familiar with creatine, it's a very chalky powder, and it kinda stinks to put it in your drink. You drink it, like, you have to keep mixing it up, like, it's just very chalky, and it's kind of annoying. It doesn't like, if you get the unflavored one, it doesn't taste like anything. It's just annoying to have, like, this powdery stuff going around in your drink, and you have to keep mixing it up, and he wasn't tasting any of that chalkiness in many of these gummy brands, and, he sent them to a lab to be tested, and many of them came back with not only, like, less creatine than they said was on the label, with almost no detectable creatine. 0 creatine in many of these gummies. I think one of them was Push creatine or something. Um, I'm trying to think, I don't remember what the other brands were, but it was a number of them. So, yeah, take those at your own risk. I mean, they're already 10 times the price of normal creatine. I ordered creatine, last week. I got 100 servings for $22. Creatine gummies are like $60 for a month's supply or for 30 servings. $60. So 3 times the price than what I paid, and you get 3 times less the amount. So it's like, what, 6 times the price really of just normal creatine monohydrate powder. So the gummies are just an overwhelming rip-off, scam, um, risky way to spend your money. Um, and if they taste amazing, and if you don't taste any of that chalkiness, there's probably not any creatine in it, right? So, yeah, that is, let's see, I got a few more here. The second, the 12th one is that there's pretty much no other over-the-counter supplements that make any noticeable difference in building muscle. Let me repeat myself. Aside from creatine, there's really no over-the-counter supplements that you're gonna buy at GNC or, um, Vitamin Shop that are gonna make a significant difference in building muscle. Testosterone boosters are not. Testosterone boosters are not going to help with that. BCAAs essentially are not going to help with that as long if you're eating a reasonable amount of protein, which if you're trying to build muscle, you better be eating a reasonable amount of protein. So in that case, BCAAs are then point you could argue BCAAs are an alright, option for, like, a vegetarian or someone who is vegan or is eating very low amounts of protein, but if you're eating a reasonable amount of protein, BCAAs are literally useless for you. Um, what else? Oh, protein powder is obviously not useless. Protein powder, um, and is helpful for reaching your protein goal that day. So, of course, take a protein powder. I use a protein powder. I recommend all my clients use it, but it's no different than a piece of chicken breast. This is what my point is. If you can get all your protein from whole foods, from chicken breast, from eggs, from ground beef, ground turkey, from other protein sources, fish, Greek yogurt, go for it, right? But if you don't, have time to cook all of those things, and it would be helpful to get in 25 or 50 grams of protein a day from a protein powder, absolutely, use it. help reach your protein goal, but don't associate the supplement with, "This is gonna build muscle for me," right? That's like you eating chicken breast at dinner, you're at a restaurant, and you're assuming, "Oh, this chicken breast is gonna build muscle for me." It may help in that journey, but it's not directly and alone going to build muscle. You see what I mean? So a protein powder is helpful, definitely use it. Nothing magical. Creatine is helpful. It's a super cheap supplement, $22 for 100 servings. Help in marginal way, definitely. Everyone should probably take it if you're working out. There's pretty much nothing else. There's pretty much nothing else that's over the counter. Of course, things that are not over the counter can be helpful, like if you are on TRT through your doctor or a clinic or something like that, or like, obviously that's going to help too. But the average person is not going to be on those things, right? But you're not gonna buy a $50 shred, and build more muscle than you would have otherwise would. That's what I'm trying to get at, alright? Now, I gotta mention this, number 14 is that sleep and rest days are crucial, crucial, right? If you, never take a rest day, you work out 7 days a week, uh, you're gonna build less muscle because it really is important to repair and to recover. You could argue that for building muscle, training 3 or 4 times a week is better than 5 or 6 times a week because you get an extra day in between rest time where that's when your muscles are growing, right? It's not during the workout, it's when you're sleeping and when you're resting and eating and recovering. So, if you're trying to build muscle, but you're sleeping 5 hours a night, that's a problem. Like, you're leaving results on the table, and I remember I acknowledge that not everyone is going to be in full control of their sleep. A lot of my clients have babies, they have, new babies, under a year old. Sleep isn't gonna be the the most optimal, right, when you have young babies or kids. So I fully acknowledge that. But if you're just, like, going to bed at, like, 1 AM for no other reason than you're watching TV or, like, you're in control, like, you could easily control your sleep and go to bed earlier or wake up late, like, like, if you could, by choice, get 8 hours of sleep instead of 5 or 4, you're gonna build more muscle if you're doing everything else right. Sleep is a huge factor here, and like I said, taking a rest day, even taking 2 rest days a week or 3 rest days a week is much better for building muscle than 0 or 1 rest day per week. Alright. Oh, this is a good one. Something that was a um, big trend in the fitness industry, but that I wish I knew when I started. You don't need to confuse the muscles by changing up your program every week or every couple weeks, and actually, this will actively hurt muscle growth because your body isn't able to progressively overload and get stronger on the set of movements and order of exercises and exercise selection that you have in place for a structured program. Stick with a program for 8 to 12 weeks. You can do more than that, but stick with a program for 8 to 12 weeks. If muscle, uh, growth is your main, goal, you want to try to practice progressive overload. You want to try to on week 12, you want to be able to say that you're lifting more in those exercises for the same reps or even more reps than you were in the first week. So that's how you build muscle, and it's pretty boring. It's a big problem that a lot of people, uh, switch and hop to different programs and different diets is that they get bored. They're not patient enough, and yeah, it's more exciting to hop from one program to the next every few weeks or every few months, but that's not actually what's gonna help you build the best body and the best physique and gain the most muscle. doing it the most optimal way to see the best results is often the more boring way, and that's an obstacle, is can you actually go out and execute this and try to get better and get stronger at this routine for 2 months and not get bored of it and not try to do some crazy shit and, uh, not, you know, do jumping jacks in between your sets and actually rest for a few minutes so that you can lift heavier in the next set. Like, boredom is a real thing. If you're doing these things, if you're, uh, doing HIIT training instead of a proper structured strength training program and the goal is muscle gain, there's things you can adjust to see better results. Everything has its place. There's nothing I have clients who do HIIT style workouts, but they're not training to gain muscle, they're training to improve their endurance for a Tough Mudder or something, right? So everything has their place, and certain styles of training are good for this or good for that. We're talking about muscle building here. You've gotta be on a structured program that makes sense for you for 8 to 12 weeks. You've gotta try to get stronger every time you go in. You gotta log your workouts, and you can't switch it up all the time if you wanna build muscle. All right. Well, if you want to do your first muscle building phase properly with guidance from me, I'll tell you exactly what macros to aim for. I'll help you adjust those macros over time to make sure you are in fact building muscle while also limiting fat gain. Feel free to send me a message or go to modernmanprogram.com and apply to work together. We can see if it's a good fit. We can chat about your goals, chat about what you're looking for, and see if I can help with your next muscle building phase or fat loss phase. But since we're talking about muscle building, um, we got 3 months left in 2025. So if you start now, you will be in better shape by the time Christmas rolls around. By the time the new year rolls around, you will in fact be in better shape than you are today. You will learn how to navigate through the holidays properly, and you'll be starting the new year probably already have reaching your initial goal, and you'll have a new goal for your resolution. That happens every year. There's people who start in the last quarter of the year, they reach their initial goal, they lose 10, 15, 20 pounds of body fat, they gain a little bit of muscle, they get stronger, and they're looking better than they've looked in a long time to start the new year. They've already got momentum, and then we can build from there and make the next year the most fit year that they've had. So, if that's you, if you want to work together on that, you want me to coach you through that in my Modern Man program, go to modernmanprogram.com and fill out the form. Let me know what your goals are and what you're looking to do, or send me a message here or on Instagram. I'd be happy to see if I can help. And thank you so much for watching. I'll be live again Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So hope this was helpful. Talk to you guys later. Bye.